5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the TTV Podcast, episode 271. I'm Meso.
I'm Bar.
I'm Takuma.
I'm EXX Trooper. Is that everyone?
Why are you guys?
And how's
acting like
life?
this is the first podcast you've been on? What was that?
What?
I guess he realized he thought there was a fifth person. There wasn't.
No, dude.
You were the last.
It went so fast. I felt like.
We will never have a fifth person on ever again.
Really? Ever.
Well, let's not get hasty. I do think there's
Never,
some merit.
never say ever.
Never say
never say ever.
Never say ever. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
We will never have a fifth person XD.
Never say forever.
Lamau? XD Lamau?
What?
Raffle.
XD Lamau, dude.
What about Mayo?
Or as
Dude, I love Mayo.
or as Meso would say, XDDDDDD.
Oh, dude, I just had
I wouldn't say I love Mayo, but it's certainly better than Miracle Whip.
a sub from Firehouse Subs, and
Whoa.
man, I am stuffed, dude. Oh,
Firehouse
That was
subs.
oh yeah, man. It was good.
Are we dying?
No, I'm not dying.
We're
I'm
all fine.
we.
I'm-
we
We're
as
all
like a
dying,
collective.
just
Are
some of
we all
us faster
dying?
than others.
Or are we like?
yeah, everyone's always dying. It's a perpetual state of death and decay.
Yeah, I'm
All right,
doing.
that's
I'm doing
actually
okay.
a
Hey,
good answer.
X. I want your opinion on Nintendo. You like it or hate it?
Okay.
Who, me?
Oh,
Yeah, you, dude. You. Do you like Nintendo? Just please say no.
I don't like Nintendo. I think they're
Excellent.
really dumb.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. High five.
What
there
they're
we go.
doing,
Now we.
what they're doing on YouTube is stupid, and I really don't know what they're doing. I feel like they're in their own bubble because they're really good at like making fun games in like their own single way, but at the same time they're completely secluded from the outside world in terms of like how things work nowadays, which leads to stupid things like the demonetization of like any Nintendo content on YouTube for no reason at all. They're $1 billion company, and they're like, you can maybe make $10 off this video, but we're not gonna let you do that. We're not gonna let you like commercialize for us
Yeah,
for
dude.
free. We're just gonna. We're
It's
just
'cause
we're
they're
just gonna
trash.
That's a
punch you in the
very
face.
fair and balanced assessment,
Man.
X. Unlike
EXX
Var and Takuma
Trooper?
over here, who are the creams of the
EXX
internet.
Trooper, more like EXX Ignorant, am I right?
Yeah.
How's that ignorant? I
It
just
feels.
did the opposite of ignorant. I just
That's
explained.
the question of the day!
Oh,
It's
Okay,
It hasn't
do
been
we
that
wanna-
long since that episode.
Do we want to address this?
It was
Maybe-
last week.
Maybe
so.
very
Yeah, go for it.
briefly. Like, okay,
Go for
so on the last episode I hosted, which feels like way sooner than I guess it actually was. I think we skipped an episode, like
Because it's
the
delayed by a
rotation.
week.
Yeah, it's like I.
This will be delayed.
Was it
by a
really
week.
delayed?
No, I mean like.
No, I'm saying that by the time this episode comes out, this will seem kind of after the fact because there's like a week.
Oh,
delay.
right.
Yeah, we talked about Nintendo, and I was talking about Mario, and the others were like ragging on me for liking Nintendo. I guess some people took it pretty serious. Like,
Holy cow! We're talking comments and posts. Not like there wasn't a lot of them.
Oh, the
but they were
new
reaching
Super
anywhere
Bar
from
is
like
amazing, though.
500
I will
to
say
almost
that.
2,000 words in length. Holy cow!
yeah,
Yeah, we got some nice essays. Some
We
people
got some
wrote like.
passionate feedback.
I think someone might have written their like their like graduation thesis on why Nintendo is the greatest company ever and why we're wrong or something.
it kind of
No, I
seems
think it was
like.
more about how we were just ignorant.
And I will say,
yeah.
credit where credit is due. Your passion shows, especially the people that didn't just leave mindless hate, but rather did actually like write stuff to like quote unquote educate us on Nintendo and stuff. But
Like,
what was one of the main like points?
well, it wasn't even a discussion.
well, okay.
There was no point.
My point was that Nintendo sucks and it's awful and it's the worst.
Yeah, but you
and,
hate everything that's cool. Like why?
Well, yeah, you exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that's
So, like-
that's the thing.
No, but
like,
I was meant to
even-
say like cool and like makes people happy. You know.
Takuma might have had a few points, but like Var was just
Yeah,
joking.
like after like kind of the first few comments came in, and Var can attest to this because I sent him my first draft of notes. I was actually I was excited to make some kind of like a video response.
Yeah, Takuma was going to
kinda
go all
talk
out.
about-
He was going to respond to everybody. It was pretty great.
And then it, like, almost like a special edition of Reply or something.
Reply,
However you
I
look at
want to
that.
die edition.
And basically, but then the comments just kind of devolved into a whole lot of name calling and profanity and hate, and that just kind of killed my motivation.
yeah, some
but,
dude
like-
claimed that we bought subscribers. That was
Yep.
fun.
It got really out of hand for no
really
We
reason.
can't afford that, TBH. I don't think that's a valuable enough investment for us right now. I personally think that would make us just go bankrupt, you know?
He's right.
If anything, we would be buying like people to like edit videos and stuff, but like subscribers themselves, I do not think that is a possible investment at this.
It is not.
At this time.
Like,
I actually want to know, like, how do you even buy subscribers? Is that a thing that you can even
You
do?
go to the subscriber store, and you're like, "Oh, you give me a tenner, right?" And then just shove it down
I don't know
your throat.
specifics. I think there are
I'm gonna look it
ways
up.
you can, but I've never like,
Purchase YouTube
Is there really
subscribers.
a way?
Yeah,
I don't know,
I
dude.
think so.
I mean, I've always felt like that's just that's just what people say.
Maybe.
But I don't know if you can actually do that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
I mean,
don't know.
even if you were to do that, why would you want to do that?
I have no clue.
I don't
Because
know.
it's like a
I don't
status.
know.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so you can buy this site is SubPals. It's offering
Do we
500
really want to
subs-
advertise these sites?
Yeah, sure, go for it, dude. It's not like it's going to help anyone. All right, so SubPals is 500 subscribers for $45.
What the heck?
Wait, how many?
500 for $45.
That's not worth it, man.
You can get
No.
10,000 for $550.
But
We
like,
don't
what,
get paid
is that
on
just
subscriber
bots, then?
numbers anyway. We
If
get
it's just
paid on
bots,
views.
then
Yeah, it's like subscribers are an arbitrary status symbol on YouTube. It's just people looking to like inflate their social standing.
There's no
basically.
point in buying more. If
There's-
anything, that'd
there's
be
not
bad because then like your watch to subscriber count ratio
Yeah, I
is
mean,
gonna be terrible.
it's actually not too bad. I mean, like it's valuing our channel at like $2,500 pretty much
We could buy out
for
right
like
now.
our subscribe count. Yeah, dude, like we could pay that money to get to double our subscribe. That's the one thing that John always said about buying subscribers. Like whenever he hears something like that, he's always like, if you were to assume that our channel actually bought subscribers, why would we stop at 45,000?
Not exactly an advantageous number, you know.
Right? Well, I guess the argument could be made that like it looks more real, I guess, because like you still have to get views in your videos, right?
Yeah.
So like we can't buy like 1 million subscribers and then only get like a 1,000 views on a video. Then it's really obvious, right?
yeah. What's the
Yeah.
point of buying subscribers when they don't like watch your videos? So it's,
There
it's
is no
Might
literally
have
point.
just
just to look
mentioned it.
cool.
It's just a status symbol. That's all it is.
Yeah, subscribers literally mean nothing to your channel, so it doesn't matter at all. I don't know why you would spend money on.
I
what
mean-
you should be spending money on is views, but even then, it's like, why would you spend money to make money? You're just kind of like, it's like a perpetual cycle
It's
of
like
nothing.
buying
you know?
money.
It is.
Yes, I mean, yes, that's exactly
Basically
it.
free.
It's
You're
buying money,
buying
but at
money.
a reduced price. It's a really great investment. Just go do it. Buy all the money you can get. You know, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So I don't really
Well, I
know.
wonder. Let me see. Actually, I wonder if you can buy viewers.
I'm sure you can. That seems
Today
much more
on
attainable.
TTV, we look up: can we buy things?
Yeah, well, it's
you
like,
want?
this is more of a legitimate conversation than the
Let's
Nintendo
look up all
thing.
Let us
Yeah,
let
I
us
mean-
know in the live studio audience. Is there something you're thinking that you can buy? You know, let us know. And now I will continue to listen to Takuma because I've interrupted him a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, man. You're good. You're good. I don't even know if we want to get into any of this because,
Not
yeah,
really.
like I said, Var can attest to just the length of my draft of notes. It's like I practically wrote an essay of my own.
Yeah, you did.
But
It was
why?
pretty impressive, dude. Because he wanted to actually have a conversation with people about Nintendo and why,
Because
like,
apparently we didn't have a conversation on the last.
yeah, we didn't have an
podcast.
actual conversation. Which, to be fair, we didn't really.
No, nor
not-
did
not
anyone
start,
ever
but-
sign up to have one. When I brought up Mario,
Sign up today.
I wasn't in the mood. I wasn't trying to like defend Nintendo or argue the merits of Nintendo as a company. The discussion, it opened as a joke. I was talking about how I hated being on the podcast because it was keeping me from Mario. That was the end of it. Nor did Var like really. The fact of the matter is, one comment that I did want to reply to was basically just someone saying that, you know, we were very ignorant of Nintendo's policies that came across in the conversation. We did not know the logic behind a lot of their decisions, and it made for an uninformed discussion. But it wasn't a debate, if that makes any sense. Like, I completely understand.
yeah.
If we marketed the video as a debate on the merits of Nintendo as a video game company, and we came in uninformed and with, like, research that was, like, half done, sure, maybe, I could see your point. on a news show. If on BrickFeed we were uninformed about a topic, I could see your point. But on the TTV podcast, no one's here to do that. No one's here to do their homework. You know, it was all comedy. It was all this lighthearted fun.
It was all
and
XD.
And apparently, Var and I both hate Nintendo, which is completely not true. At least not in my case. I mean, I've got.
Oh yeah, no, I hate Nintendo.
I enjoyed the heck out of the Metroid Prime series. Like, just kind of going back to something Var said though on the last podcast about how the problem with having games that are only available on one console is in order to see if you even like them, there's that paywall of the console itself.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm sitting here and it's like I had no interest in the Switch, but now Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a thing, and I'm like, I want to play it, but the only way I'm going to be able to play it is if, you know, ignoring the $50 that or whatever it's going to cost for the game, I have to put down another. How much does the Switch cost? $250, $350,
$300.
Just to play one game?
All of which are very.
Are they
legitimate
going to make
points.
Smash for Switch?
I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will.
Even if
I've
they
got
just
Brawl
port the
too.
Wii U version.
And that kind of leads into another. You guys better stop me now if you don't want me to go off, because I'm about to go off and not look back.
Maybe show a bit of restraint, but you can say one or two things.
I still hate Nintendo. I think Nintendo's the worst company ever. And, and all their games are trash. I played every Mario game, and every single one of them is awful. Zelda is the worst series in the world. Nothing good about it. I mean,
Zelda needs to
seriously.
stop dressing in those weird green clothes, right?
I don't understand what the point, like, who is Zelda trying to save?
I don't know, man.
The Metroids.
Oh, obviously. Why can't Zelda crawl?
Is Zelda the girl with the blue sweater and the?
Yeah, she's the one that fights Bowserdorf.
Yes.
No, like there's a girl. I know there's a girl with like a blue sweater in the new Zelda, but like, is that?
No, that's Peach.
No. It was a legitimate question, but I guess I got pranked.
We don't know. We're ignorant.
Yep, we don't know anything.
No, just,
Haha.
moral of the story, don't try to get offended. I didn't. I saw a bunch of people like Meso was the only one trying to have an actual discussion, and the others just bagged on him.
No, it wasn't.
Poor Meso was like, no! Just...
No, but for real though, Nintendo's fine.
And like,
I don't care.
okay, there's one thing I really do need to get out, and this isn't even necessarily applied to Nintendo specifically, and that's the fact that a lot of these people were throwing around words like ignorance or terms like closed-minded,
Yeah.
or specifically or implying we're closed-minded by them saying they were open-minded, something like that. This is the thing. The society of the world today. And I'm not going to be telling anyone
this is
anything
gonna
they
get
don't
XD'd.
know already.
All right, this is a real combo right here, guys.
Yeah, let's go.
Here we go.
It's not that big. But here's the thing. This is the way the world is. I like Thing. And anyone else who likes Thing is clearly an open-minded individual. Anyone who doesn't like Thing either hasn't given it enough of a chance or they're just a closed-minded individual. And that's the thing, because like all this vitriol, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Is it vitriol? I don't know.
I get
Yeah, it's
what you're
vitriol.
saying.
I don't want to jump
to petrol.
I don't know. Yeah. All of this gasoline that's getting tossed at me and Var,
All this gas. Oh.
and then lighting us on, just turning us into a barbecue,
I'm
like
tired
fried
of all
chicken.
these people being so patriotic.
Exactly. No. You see, it can't be that Var and I don't like Mario games simply because we don't see the appeal of them or something like that. It's only because we haven't given them enough of a chance.
Yeah, I don't really
Okay.
get that. It's like...
Let me tell you something. Another Nintendo property that I do not like, and I've said this before again and again and again.
Oh boy.
Pokemon.
Oh.
A lot of people would just tell me I haven't given it a chance. You have no many ideas how many
I actually
hours of
have
my
tried
life
giving
I
Pokemon a
have
chance.
wasted.
I remember
on
you were
giving it
hyped
a
for Black and
chance.
White at one point. Way back
Yeah, and I
when
played a
dinosaurs
bit
roamed
of
the
it
earth.
and got very bored.
Yeah.
It's no.
And
then
I don't
people-
understand it.
And then there's people who assume I don't understand the purpose of console exclusives. And this is actually something I did want to touch on last podcast. But
Oh yeah, that was actually a
away
pretty
from
stupid
that.
comment. I saw a couple comments about
Well, that was one of the
exclusives.
things people said you were
trying to educate
closed-minded
me
about. You were like, you
on
don't understand.
why console exclusives exist. Newsflash for you. I know exactly why console exclusives exist. That does not change the fact that they are not a pro-consumer practice.
No.
Okay? And something specifically I wanted to touch on last time is there are certain situations where I don't have a problem with console exclusives. Reason number
You're
one.
saying console exclusive or pro consumer?
No, I'm saying as a general rule of thumb, console exclusives are not pro-consumer, but I'm okay with them in certain situations. First one being when a game requires proprietary hardware. Okay? Not, like anything
like a
that
VR
made
game or something.
VR games,
Motion
stuff that made
controls.
use of like motion controls for the
yeah.
Wii, that's a completely different, bag of apples. I don't know what the expression I'm trying to find is, but I'm just making a bag of apples.
There's a reason, basically.
Yeah. Reason number 2, first-party games. Yes, it would be nice if like Nintendo games were on other consoles, but if Nintendo is making a console and they are also making games, it makes sense for Nintendo to make games specifically for their console. And just to kind of rewind like 2 seconds, people calling me a PC elitist. You know what? You're gonna call it how you see it, I guess, or how you imagine it to be. But consoles on PC, 99% of the time, are for hardware reasons. There's a reason you see very few MOBAs and RTSs and anything like that on console, and that's because keyboard and mouse is pretty much a requirement. Here is where I have a problem. Reason number 3, console exclusive or an exclusive is okay, is for money reasons. Because anyone who knows anything knows that you cannot just take a game, make it for the Xbox, for example, and copy paste onto PlayStation. No way. Different hardware, different requirements, different coding, and it costs money for each additional platform you want to make a game for. Here's where I have a problem. Is when a game is arbitrarily made a console exclusive, which I could be wrong, but I imagine I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the original Halo, but I don't remember for sure. But to get my point across, developer MicroArts is making a game called Wallbusters.
My favorite.
Yes.
Oh, I love Wallbusters.
MicroArts is making Wallbusters. And
Bust down them walls.
as it stands, they've got a plan for which consoles they're going to make it on, or maybe they don't even know which consoles they're going to make it on. But then someone like, say, Microsoft comes along and says, hey, we will give you money if you don't make this game for other consoles, so that it becomes an exclusive for the Xbox. This is where I really have a problem. Because that game might have wound up on multiple platforms, but the only reason it isn't is because someone threw money at them and said, don't make it for our competitors.
Well,
That is
when you do
not
that, you get into like an
pro-consumer.
argument of
That
intent,
is
because I know there are also certain situations where the developers simply could not fund creating the games, so a publisher stepped up in order to fund them, basically.
Well, still,
in
again,
exchange for
that's an
console
issue of
exclusive.
not having enough funds to make it for multiple platforms. If a game would have wound up on multiple platforms,
Kind of reminds
but
me
the
of
only
like
reason-
Destiny, the first Destiny when it was originally. Didn't it launch early for one of like PlayStation? I think first before
No.
any other console.
It does have
No.
PlayStation perks, you are correct, but it wasn't
Okay.
limited early exclusivity.
Okay.
But yes, it was very, very heavily marketed and attached to the Sony brand, and there's exclusive content to this very day. That's like
Well, okay.
Sony.
XD.
Cool. So that's what I'm thinking of. All right.
And then there's just this notion that someone brought up that if console exclusives didn't exist, basically everything would wind up on one system and there'd be a monopoly and they could charge $1 bazillion for us and we'd pay it no matter what because that's the only way to get it. That is absolute, complete, and utter rubbish.
Oh man, the R word.
It's rubbish, man.
That
I'll
is-
tell you, it's
That
rubbish.
that is just an absolute fabrication, okay? Let me tell you something. Even if you could copy paste game from console A to console B, you would still have multiple consoles because the hardware is going to have different features that the others don't have. Saying that we would only wind up with one console because that's like saying, I had an analogy for this and I've forgotten what it. That's like saying It's like saying if all cars could drive on the same road, we'd only have one car.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you.
No, no.
What?
We have cars and pickups and vans and and there's also this. They can charge $150 for a single game and we'll pay that price because we don't have any other option. Guess what? I cannot remember the last time I paid full price for a game at even just $60. It's called the honest.
I'm clapping for
you,
Takuma. You're
at the end of the day, whether or not a company lives or dies is in the hands of the consumer.
Whoa, look at you.
You decide with your wallet. You vote with your wallet what is and is not acceptable. Okay?
I'm getting flashbacks to my end of G2 speech.
If somebody's gonna say you only get this game on the Xbox and you have to pay $150 for it, guess what? Not everyone's gonna go and pay $150 for it. Some people might, and those people are saying, "Hey, I'm fine with paying $150." They are casting their vote with their own wallet. Okay, that isn't gonna be my vote, though.
Totally
Man,
fair.
this is mind-blowing, and that's why Nintendo sucks.
You cannot just jack up the price and say, "Oh, it's the only thing available. People will pay it," because some people will not pay it. It's all about whether or not you, as the consumer, value that good or service at what they are pricing it at.
And I do, so I bounced off the walls of the Odyssey hype. So,
Hype is stupid.
at the end of the day, if you're on Nintendo fans, when people express concerns with Nintendo's business practices and their policies, or even just like VAR, he doesn't hate Nintendo, but he doesn't particularly care about Mario games.
Yeah, just guys, if you're listening to this, just know that out there, the reason why we feel this way is because the company is trash and so are the games.
Sure, that.
And
but
there's
also,
no redeemable factors about them at all, and if you're a fan of them, you're dumb. Dumb.
That, but
That's
also,
what you're supposed to take away from that.
Okay.
Someone just
Also,
left because of
no,
that.
Takuma.
I'm
cutting you off.
This isn't. No. This isn't
No.
like I'm
No,
not going
no,
to go on
no.
another tier. This is just one thing that I found kind of funny is that is this idea that person XYZ. I don't know. I don't care at this point what their name was, but they're like, John should have been here instead of Purple. Because even though John would have sided with VAR and Takuma, it at least would have been a discussion and not just throwing around blanket statements.
I take issue with
Which
that on two
I would
fronts.
I would like to point out that the same self-person also threw around blanket statements like Nintendo hater and PC Master Race elitist.
Yeah,
No, Takuma, it doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter. We're the ones who need to be held at a higher regard.
two remarks.
The
to
commenters
that.
can do
Number
whatever they
one.
want, but when you
Like,
have a
I'm just
subscriber
kinda
base, you have
fascinated
to
by the
make
fact
sure
that,
that you're
like,
perfect.
John would have been on the same side, but at least he should have been here because then it would have been a discussion.
Number one, it was already like
I can only think about the leg discussion.
everyone here is capable of having
How much everyone
discussions.
loved that.
Lol.
Oh, we're human beings, and we're
Everyone here is
capable
capable
of
of
I'm
having
capable of having
conversations.
discussions. I just don't want to have one about Nintendo because they're a
Exactly.
trash company.
And number two, John is a Nintendo fan, so he would not have been on the same
I was saying, like,
yeah,
when I called Meso a fanboy, I was doing that in jest.
I was
and
not
it's
offended.
It's like I
You're a
I
fanboy.
don't actually want to jump to the conclusion that these people leaving us these single page essays are Nintendo fanboys, but when for frame of reference for perspective, that Nintendo segment of the podcast I went back listened to again 10 minutes out of an hour is what brought all this.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And then they're leaving us single page essays. It's hard not to go, oh, we upset the fanboys.
The people are very passionate. Yeah, it's like it's an interesting.
You're
situation.
taking it personally. We're talking about a company, and these people are taking it personally, like we insulted their child or their mother or their hair.
well, don't you understand that they're all investors in the company, and that if Nintendo happens to falter, that they lose out on those funds that they invested.
There
they don't
is
make any profit.
undue,
wait a minute.
there is
You're into this
undue
bit.
emotional investment, and this is also why you shouldn't fall in love until you're engaged.
Oh, here we go. Okay, well,
Let's Snot.
Takuma just called you guys.
Here comes the next batch of hate comments.
The final thing
He just called you guys immature.
Final thing I'll say is just instead of, and I mean this from one Nintendo fan to another, me, to all of you in the comments, instead of going around calling people close-minded who don't like Nintendo or bring up legitimate flaws with them, or even just don't particularly care about Mario, maybe they're ambivalent, how about you take a step back, be open-minded, realize that maybe Nintendo isn't perfect, and that even as a fan of theirs, you can realize, hey, they've done some pretty messed up stuff. Like, nobody thinks the YouTube stuff is good. Not even the most devout of Nintendo fan will think that Nintendo trying to take ad revenue from YouTube content creators is a good thing to do. Nor any of their other ridiculous business practices over the years, but we can still play their games, we can still like them, and we don't have to jump down the throats of people who might not be in the same level as we are. It's all fun and games, literally. So take a chill pill, take a step back, and just learn to laugh.
But the friend code thing is so stupid, though.
Friend code, another thing. Like there are flaws. Nothing is perfect. When you
I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds pretty bad.
you think that everything is perfect and that nothing can be criticized and everything's exempt from having flaws, then that fosters an environment of stagnation where there's no incentive to change or innovate or do better. And that is the point where Nintendo will really become a trash company. So how about we don't do that? Let's praise what they do right, good games, good hardware, and condemn what they do wrong, everything else.
One last quick thing.
Last thing.
And that is that, telling us we're going to make excuses for what we said, or, like legitimate excuses, like the fact that Var and I were playing things up, we're entertainers, it's what we do, or saying that it's, you're just going to claim it's just your opinions.
Wow.
Calling that out in advance isn't some sort of gotcha where it invalidates those reasons, okay?
Well, it's actually funny because the one comment I was replying to, he fabricated a really good, or he formulated a very good comment that was pretty impossible to have any kind of response to without it being a gotcha moment. Because what he did was, it was really clever, actually. He went in and he was like, all right, your criticisms of Nintendo are completely unjust and unfair, and I can't believe you're so close-minded. And I bet you're going to just reply to this and say that it was just a joke, because that's how petty you are, right? Mm-hmm. So that's
not a gotcha.
No. It is a gotcha. It is a gotcha.
I'm just saying it doesn't invalidate.
No, it is a gotcha because here's what you do.
You just got pranked.
Here's what you do. Yeah, essentially, here's what you do. Right? You either respond to that comment by saying no. I mean, it was just a joke. And boom, he got you, because he called you out, right? He was like, oh, you're petty, and that's why you're going to say it's a joke, because you don't want to admit that you're wrong. Or, what you could try to do is argue that point and be like, alright, no, my criticisms toward Nintendo are actually pretty fair because of insert reason here. Problem being is, if it was actually just a joke, you don't actually have any real argument to present there.
Oh boy!
So it's just, you're wrong no matter what. It's a nice kind of like psychology behind the comment that kind of makes it so that no matter what you do to respond to it, you're incorrect. And
what did you do?
A lot of comments like to do that out there, especially towards smaller creators. It's just like
it's ancient Pharisees in the Bible or something.
Well, it's a way to get a response from people, and it's a way to it's a method of trolling essentially, but it's not always just a troll. But I like, a lot of people actually believe what they're saying is true, like, oh, if you respond to this, then you're right, or they're right no matter what, But it's just it's like
it's usually the people who say they're open-minded that are the most closed-minded.
Right, it's like a misguided attempt at trying to present some kind of dialogue. But
I'm gonna question it.
What did you do to that comment? I'm curious.
Do what?
Did you respond to that comment in any way?
Oh yeah, I responded to that comment, and of course I said that.
And then it devolved into.
Yeah, it was the same guy that started claiming that we were buying viewers or whatever, or buying subscribers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was very clear that he wasn't a sane person. So.
All right, and also all of this is for the sake of discussion. This is not like a
so
call
now
to
that
arms.
Now that I've wasted half.
Oh no,
an
it is a
hour
call to
just going
arms.
on
It's a call
rant.
to arms against Nintendo. I want to make sure that everybody listening to this makes aware that Nintendo is
boycott Nintendo.
Nintendo's an evil
That's
company.
the ultimate takeaway here.
They make awful games, and I want us to all storm their whatever facilities with pitchforks and knives and murder everybody.
don't go attack these people that we have like talked about indirectly here, because that's just terrible. Like, this is just
No,
for
you
the
should
sake of
absolutely attack
discussion.
them, because attacking people makes the world go round.
I like the dichotomy here. I appreciate the effort, X, but no,
Anyway.
we're not on a wood chat. We haven't named a single person. Don't worry about it. Just
Yo, so like I went ahead and looked into buying viewers. Because
sure.
I was just curious to see. So
Yeah.
you can buy worldwide views here for as low as $2, right? For
$2
1,000 views, which is immediately not worth it, because a view is 1,000 views is definitely not equate to $2, nor does it equate to $1. In fact, it's much less.
It's worth it only in one circumstance, and that's if your video's been demonetized and it needs to have gotten 1,000 views in the last week in order to be considered for remonetization.
That's wow, huh?
That's it. That's
Interesting point. But I mean, even at that point, even with that, your video has to have the potential to reach like millions of views, right? To make
much.
that worth it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can get high retention views. Now, those high retention views, those make the money. Am I right? And you can get 5,000 high retention views for as low as $17.
What?
In no universe is that worth anything.
In no universe is that worth it. Why would you buy this?
People are dumb.
Oh,
what
man.
can I say? People are gullible.
I mean, I'm curious to see like how much business this website actually gets. Like, I want to know if people actually are willing
It's gotta
to.
be from like people with no subscribers yet who don't even know what the exchange
It has to
rate
be.
is gonna be.
Yeah, it has to be. Because no established.
People think they'll
Like,
just,
even if you
boost
have
their
like,
numbers.
even if you're a small channel at like 1,000 subscribers or something, then you would know that this isn't worth it. Surely.
It's pretty obvious.
I don't know, but it's pretty funny.
It doesn't make any sense, but what do you say we put a pin in this little conversation and we
Yeah,
move
I'm
on?
fine. I'm all like hot and bothered.
Oh, but guys, I want to talk about buying YouTube views.
No,
and
no, 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 no,
subscribers.
no, 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 no. That's dangerous
Oh,
waters.
I thought we were talking
Why?
about going past the Nintendo.
We don't
thing.
want to inspire people.
We
Sure
don't want
I do.
to. Wait, you're
I-
saying
I
you
wanna-
don't want to inspire people who are dumb enough to spend their money on views to go and waste their money?
This has nothing to do with the Nintendo thing anymore. I'm just actually curious about this.
Fair enough. You have insights.
Yeah,
I don't want to go
know,
near
like-
that with a 10-foot pole.
Why?
Because I don't want to do it. I don't want to buy views. I have
I
honor.
don't. No one in
Neither
the
do
right
we.
mind would. I'm just curious to see like what's going on here. I
It's a
want to know
scam.
like.
It's a fraud.
It's like when you look. It's
I know, but scams are interesting.
I guess. Sure.
They are.
it's like slapstick comedy. You know, you're watching someone get hurt, but it's funny.
Yeah, right. Like the person like. Okay, so pyramid scams are a thing. Right? Now here, like this is actually a thing we should probably
boy,
teach our
Purple
audience
is so
'cause-
triggered right now.
because many.
Trapezoid.
Wow.
Wow. Takuma. Pyramids.
I don't know what he's
Because
saying.
like this is a thing that our audience might run into in the wild. They haven't done it yet because most
Pyramids?
of them are kids. No, pyramid schemes.
Yeah, I mean, you can run into pyramids as well. They also exist.
I mean, you could if you play Assassin's Creed or you go to Egypt.
No, that's just within a video game, and then it doesn't count.
I mean, you can still run into it though.
I know,
Max.
within the game, but not yourself.
But what do you mean it doesn't count?
It doesn't count as like you running into a pyramid. You don't go like, "Hey, I saw the pyramids." Oh, did you go to Egypt? Nah, I played Assassin's Creed.
Oh, well, you saw the pyramids then, didn't you?
The pyramid. Forget it.
You saw the pyramids
No,
in
no,
a video
no,
game.
no. Don't want.
I mean, X, well, you can try to have this
let's go.
fight, but you're gonna lose. Anyway, pyramid schemes are interesting though because like both me and Vin and I believe John have run into someone who's trying to indoctrinate us into a pyramid scheme before.
I remember these
Right?
stories. Good times.
Yeah, they're fascinating. It's interesting how that works because like so for me, I could speak from firsthand experience. For mine, I was going through Best Buy, right? Just walking through Best Buy and looking at stuff, looking at like gimbals and everything, and there was this lady there, and she sees me looking at gimbals, and she's like, "What?"
Just
commentary.
Just continue.
What do you want, X? What do you want?
From life?
No, from whatever. What do you want?
He wants the Norwegian
I mean,
dream.
I could go for like a dinner right now. You know.
I could go for some food, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why aren't you eating before the podcast?
Every podcast I
did,
do,
but,
I'm
like,
hungry.
I could go for some free food.
Every single
Trooper,
podcast
if you
I
were over
record,
here
I'm always
right
like,
now,
Well,
I
here's
would
how-
totally take you out for dinner.
Here's how you get your free food, X, by joining a pyramid scheme, okay? So this lady,
No.
she's like, yo, have you ever wanted to make money? And I'm like, yeah, I wanted to make money. This is not actually how
She
it started.
actually say yo.
No, she asked me
Yo.
about like what I was like if I was interested in photography or filming and everything. I was like, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel and that kind of thing, and we had a nice conversation. And she's like, she offers to give me a job, right? Like she makes it sound like it's a job, like a filming job or an editing job, right? Like she said she recently was engaged or whatever, and like it sounds like she wants something to make like a video out of her wedding or something like that, right? So she gives me her number. She says, let's talk some other time or whatever. Cool. A couple days later, we have a chat on the phone, and it becomes very apparent that the job that she offered was not an editing job or a filming job. In fact, I don't know what kind of job it was, because I kept being like, all right, so what is it you want me to do? And she was like, all right, so it's going to be difficult to explain over the phone. But so are you someone that considers yourself a go-getter, a self-starter, an entrepreneur? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, okay, because we're really looking for people who are self-starters, who are really good at, taking charge and making their own, way in the world. I'm like, okay. And she's like, so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be getting a lot of talented people together, and we're going to be making sure that we all, kind of work together towards making a better future for ourselves. We're going to be doing a great job. And I'm like,
buzzword.
Yeah, right? I'm like, all right, so what is the job that I would be doing? And she was like, oh, well, you see, it's not really a job per se. It's a money-making opportunity.
Trigger.
And I'm like,
Red flags, get your red flags over here.
right. Well, thank you for this money-making opportunity, but I'm gonna have to speak to you some other time, I think. I'm not interested. I kind of thought this would be an editing job. And she was like, oh, okay, well, if you have a change of heart, and you just feel free to reach out to me, you have my number. And I'm like, nah, thanks. I'm not gonna do that. And I hung up.
Incredible.
You gotta love those pyramid schemes, though.
What the heck?
Really
I feel
good.
like you would need to be more convincing to rope people in, or maybe people are that dumb to
Yeah.
fall for it. I don't know.
Well, okay,
there are
to be
dumb
fair,
people.
for one thing, there are dumb people, and also she was probably more convincing than I gave her credit for. My retelling probably wasn't as convincing as what it actually was.
Yeah.
But it became pretty apparent once she couldn't answer my questions about what exactly we were going to be doing.
Yeah, when someone dodges, you can tell.
Yeah. But like the whole thing with pyramid schemes, though, is that they get people that you trust. That's how they get you, right? Like, because usually when someone's trying to get you into a pyramid scheme, it's because they are themselves in a pyramid scheme. That's how the pyramid works, right? You make your revenue off the people underneath you. So it's like a company that wants to sell product, right? There's lots and lots of product. You have the person at the very top who has a product he wants to sell to people, and he gets two people he knows, and he's like, I want you guys to be my distributor. And those two people are like, cool. Their job is to take that product and sell it to people. Well, the product is crap, so no one wants to actually buy it, but they have a lot of stock here, so what do? Well, they find two other people that they know, and they're like, hey, you can be our distributors.
Yeah.
If you buy this product and then you distribute it to other people and sell it, you can make tons of money. And they're like, okay, cool. So they buy the product from those two distributors, and they're like, oh gosh, what do we do with this? Well, they find two other people they know.
And it goes
And
round
it just keeps cycling down and down, right? So it builds a pyramid. So, yeah, I mean, like, the whole idea is that you're supposed to recruit people to sell your stuff for you. And that's how you make your money, so.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense in a twisted kind of way.
It's pretty twisted. Yeah, it's pretty screwed up.
What a topsy-turvy world we live in where stuff like that goes down.
Yeah.
Don't fall
John
for
it. John posted in the chat, multi-level marketing. Yeah, if you hear that at all, If anyone ever gives you, like, it seems like you're getting a job offer and they say multi-level marketing, you are being screwed. It's a scam. Don't do it.
Mullum.
Get out.
Mullum.
Fear the mullum.
Yeah. So that's just some life advice for you kids out there about to go out into the real world with your big boy britches and your new job opportunities and your college degree.
I like how you jumped from like murdering Nintendo to like actual.
Oh no,
legitimate,
don't get me wrong.
advice.
We need to murder Nintendo for sure. Just make sure you're not falling for any scams first.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo.
Like Nintendo.
I like it. That was funny, guys. I laughed. See, Nintendo fans, I can laugh. I'm not offended.
No, you should be offended. You should be offended that that Nintendo is using you to make a quick buck. Because as we all know, making money to survive is an awful, awful thing.
True.
Why would you do that?
Well,
Why would you do that?
the only things that have gone on this week, it hasn't just been podcast comment drama, but this week, I'm not sure how long we would want to talk about it, it has been a particularly topsy-turvy week for the world of comic book media. I think the biggest thing
Has it
that's
really?
happened was the news that Disney was purportedly in talks to buy Fox. That was perhaps the biggest thing that's gone down.
Like the entire Fox network?
The entire Fox media branch, with a few exceptions, namely Fox News, sports channels, actual like broadcasting
Fox
networks.
News is quality, man.
Those would remain, but in the sense of their TV shows, their movies, so think Fantastic Four, the X-Men, specifically what I'm referencing, or TV programs like Family Guy, etc., would become owned by Disney. And the reason this is significant, aside from the corporate world and what this would mean for, stuff of that nature, as fans of Marvel, this would mean that the grand majority of the characters, if this deal happened, would be owned by Disney and the MCU, by extension. Everything but Spider-Man would be under full control.
Didn't Sony have another one? Wait, who had
Wait, isn't
Fantastic
Spider-Man?
Four?
Fox.
Fox
had
had
Fantastic Four?
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I think
Sony,
Universal...
Sony still has control over Spider-Man's like secondary characters, like Black Cat and Venom and everything.
I could have sworn there was another IP that was owned by another third.
You might be thinking of
the rights
Universal,
are-
which I believe owns the rights to solo Hulk movies.
Yep.
Might be.
I did not know that, but it's not what I was thinking of. I could be just imagining things at this
Okay.
point.
Universal also
You have to be
owns-
thinking of either X-Men or like Deadpool and or all basically anyone that isn't in the Marvel universe right now belongs to
under
Fox.
So if this deal went through, this would be huge, like earth-shatteringly huge for the MCU, because they could tell years and years and years and years and years with the stories about the X-Men. They have been doing so already under Fox, but like they haven't been that well received. Like they have fans, don't get me wrong, but like it's a 50-50 split between whether it's a good movie or not, it seems.
Is it even that?
Yeah, but you could
Which
kind of say the
X-Men?
same towards some, like, I feel like there's just as many good X-Men movies as there is, like, well, not as many as good Marvel films, because there are more Marvel films to, choose from. But I feel like the ratio from bad to good is pretty equivalent to Marvel's bad to good as well.
I don't think so at all. I think most.
You don't?
I think most X-Men
For Fox?
I think most X-Men movies are
No,
hot
for X-Men.
garbage.
Oh, hot
Okay.
garbage. Well,
I have to agree
hot
with Trooper
garbage,
on this one.
steaming pile. Terrible.
yeah, but it's like they do. Let's break
I think
it
they're
down.
fine.
We had
Like
Okay.
I've seen all the X-Men movies, like at least once each, but I have no desire to go back and save for whatever the Logan. Other than that, yeah, like I have no desire to go back and watch them again.
I thought
Don't you
Days of
wanna
Future
watch
Past was
Last
really good.
Stand?
First Class was pretty good. Logan obviously was really good. Deadpool's good.
those are the four big
yeah,
hits.
Deadpool's another one I haven't.
And then
Yeah.
the big misses are like X3, Origins Wolverine, Apocalypse. Apparently, people don't like.
Well, Apocalypse
I don't know.
wasn't great, but it also wasn't awful, I would say.
It's like
I think it's
Thor:
pretty
The Dark
mixed.
World.
No, I actually think it's better than Thor: The Dark World. I'd say it's better.
haven't
I
seen
think
it.
Why are you going
Thor: The Dark
like you
World.
have?
I've seen Thor: The Dark. I have not seen Thor: The Dark World. I have seen Apocalypse. though.
What?
Okay.
And Apocalypse was Yeah.
You know what happens though is you combine Thor and you combine the Apocalypse and you get Ragnarok, which was an amazing movie.
Yeah.
I haven't
Don't
seen
get me
it.
wrong. I don't like Apocalypse. I thought it was like it's definitely not one of my favorite movies. One of the lesser X-Men movies. I just think in terms of quality and like what people consider to be a bad movie, I think you can watch X-Men Origins Wolverine, right, and be like, yeah, this movie's terrible. This is a really bad movie. Clearly, no one invested in this actually had a good idea about what they wanted this movie to be. It was just a cash grab, essentially. I don't think Apocalypse was that. I think Apocalypse was
Poorly executed.
Yeah, just poorly executed. But I think there was some love into that one, at least. So I don't think it was the worst movie. But with that said, I feel like X-Men's pretty good in its own universe, and I feel like
you know what I really like? That's X-Men. X-Men Evolution.
X-Men Evolution was a pretty good cartoon. Yeah.
I'm not
loved
jazzed
X-Men
about
Evolution.
seeing the X-Men integrated into the MCU. I am in agreement with Var. I think they work in their own self-contained universe, and I honestly cannot think of a way to integrate the X-Men into the current landscape of the MCU in any way that isn't clumsily done.
I mean, it would
because
have to be post-Infinity Wars, right?
there's two ways they can go. They can say there have been mutants all these years, and they've been living in secrecy, which would already be sketchy enough, or there's some event that happens in Infinity War that then triggers the mutant outbreak. They could potentially, as John poses in the chat, combine the Inhumans that they're running with nowadays with the mutants, but that would be ridiculous.
I don't think they would do that only because not enough of the general audience is aware of the Inhumans subplot that's going on.
This could potentially be the way to bring it front and center.
I thought Inhumans was just that one terrible show.
No, they're on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Inhumans is a branch of characters. They're
like half alien people.
They're discount mutants, basically.
Yeah.
They were humans who were engineered with alien DNA to basically act as weapons, living weapons for the Kree, an alien race of being. But for all intents and purposes, they've basically been kind of the mutant stand-in because Fox owned the rights to the actual mutants from X-Men. So if this happened, it would make waves. Now, the talks are currently dead. So, nothing's been finalized. The theory is they're not dead, they've just been paused, or they're under negotiations. I see a lot of conspiracy theories.
Suspended.
The news was leaked in order to put pressure on one side or the other, or they've been paused because of movie releases, or just disagreements. The fact that it happened at all, and the fact that it progressed to a stage where we're hearing about it, tells me it's not over with.
No, yeah. I think so. I think a lot of news outlets are reporting that it's been dead as though it's completely ceased and that there's going to be no continuation of the conversation, but I don't think that's true at all. I think we've got... I feel like there's a pretty good reason why negotiations like this would have been paused, given the current film climate, especially considering the buyer and the buyee, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Disney, of all films, got some pretty big releases. Not only has Thor Ragnarok just come out, but Star Wars is also coming out soon.
It's pretty true.
And I feel like, depending on how well those films do, it's going to affect negotiations. So, I think it's pretty evident as to why these negotiations would have been put off for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think we're definitely going to hear from this again, and I think if Star Wars does really well, Thor's obviously doing good right now. We might see some Fox
Cross on my
heroes.
fingers. This would certainly be very interesting. There's only a select few I personally have an attachment to, but just for the franchise in general, I think it's always good to have options of where they can go with the Marvel Cinematic Universe post Thanos.
I just want more Ghost Rider.
Well. Stay strong.
You want more of the Cage?
Ghost Rider is not
no,
related to
not
Fox,
Nicolas
but...
Cage. Yeah. Okay, to be, I will admit that I actually kind of like the first Ghost Rider.
Fair enough.
Never saw it.
The second one, however, is a steaming pile of rubbish.
The only way we're gonna get
absolute dreck.
The only way we're going to get more Ghost Rider, because he's not related to Fox, is if, word of mouth continues to spread about how awesome Robbie Reyes was as Ghost Rider in S.H.I.E.L.D., which he really was. And B,
oh, yeah.
If, no, he really was. And Secondly, if the Netflix shows continue. Which brings me to the second interesting thing that's been going on with superhero media. Marvel Netflix might be over because the news has broken that Disney is creating its own streaming service that's been going on for a while now. There's been rumors and rumblings. It is old. I believe it was official, or we actually got like some leaks about programming schedules. Like one of the things, if you can believe it, a High School Musical TV show is apparently in production for this streaming service, which is hilarious. And yes, they will be creating Marvel properties for this service exclusively going forward. And I believe that any new Marvel characters for TV shows will probably find their home on this streaming service versus Netflix. Now, supposedly, the already existing properties will remain. Obviously, it's not like they're going to be moved off Netflix because there were production deals signed. It's unclear if, like, Daredevil Season 4, for instance, would be. It might just be existing properties, not necessarily future seasons of that. So that's basically the deal. It's unclear at this point if, like, what that could mean. I see a bunch of people who are being alarmists who are like, well, if it's not on Netflix, that means it's not going to be dark and gritty. We don't necessarily know that, for instance. I think that's a very false misinterpretation of what it means to be a Netflix show. That it has to be, like, super edgy. Because everybody said that was how Journey to One was going to be. And it very obviously was not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one of those things that's going down. And the third major thing, unless you guys have anything to add to that.
I just wanted to say that, like, the next Star Wars movie was so good that the director... It's not even been released yet, but the people behind the scenes that have seen the movie, they greenlit the director of the next Star Wars movie coming out. They greenlit him to make his own trilogy.
Yep. It'd be the first trilogy unrelated to the Skywalkers.
Which is great.
Awesome.
So we might actually get something fresh rather than like rehashes of the old movies. So it's great.
I was going to say what we've seen of Episode 8 so far in the trailers. It seems like much as 7 was kind of, the new 4, 8 is starting to look like the new 5 to me.
You think?
I try not to.
Yeah. Same. But yeah, continue, Meso, with your thing.
I don't know, like, what does it
we've seen
necessarily
enough
have to do that, like, the only thing that I see is, Luke training Rey in the sense that Yoda trained him. The actual plot line doesn't seem that.
I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be as much of a rehash as 7 felt like, but
it will serve
it's giving
the trilogy the same that Empire Strikes Back served to its trilogy, sure, but I think the plot will be different enough. But honestly,
I see it at opening night.
I think people give the Force Awakens more crap than it deserves anyway. So
I'm surprised it has like a lot of negative backlash.
I think it's. I mean,
I thought it was good.
I mentioned it in the last
parallels.
episode while we were talking about Nintendo, about how like I realized that I'm doing the thing towards Nintendo that people do towards The Force Awakens. And by that I mean is that I think The Force Awakens is so popular that it's just kind of easy to hate on it.
Fair enough.
I get kind of this. There's certain things I'm the same way. It's like, oh, everyone likes, it's like back when we played Dota. Oh, remember those days? It's like I loved playing as like Undying. No, you never saw Undying. And then suddenly he became popular, and I just didn't want to play him anymore.
Counterculture.
Everyone was playing him.
And it's not even like, it's not even that The Force Awakens is a perfect movie or that it's a great movie. I think it's just the fact that every movie, when held up to scrutiny, has like some flaws to it, right? Nothing's perfect, but because so many people like The Force Awakens, it kind of puts it up on this pedestal that it really can't ever, hope to try to, achieve to. It's
almost like you're being challenged to bring it back down to earth.
Exactly. Just because it's so popular. And I think, so I think a lot of people hate it because it's popular. And once again, it's not to say that it's flawless.
Totally.
But, yeah.
Another... sorry.
Sorry, my what I want to talk about isn't even about this. It's back to the Disney acquisition talks.
You can say that. Go ahead and mention.
Okay. Someone in the chat, I think it was Prentice, posted about how like if Disney buys out Fox, it's going to become like a big monopoly.
That is a common thing I've been seeing around, and it's like...
Yeah. John posted in the chat, who's not currently in this podcast, about how it doesn't really matter so much because it's not like they offer a service, you know, like the cable outlets do.
Yeah.
We don't need Disney to live.
Right, exactly. And, you know, the competition isn't as effective, I guess, but like, I don't know, I do feel like there is still some concern that you can have with Disney becoming the bigger, like, Disney's already kind of a big monopoly, let's be real here. But there is something to it if they start buying out every single popular thing out there, because like right now, I remember seeing like some articles about like how I think it was the LA Times, right? Was it the LA Times or the New York Times? One of them had like released some like news story about how Disney had like, or Disney's sort of like sketchy dealings with Florida, and they're like, Florida. I slurred that. Florida. Yeah, their relationship with Florida and
Anaheim.
Oh, Anaheim, not Florida. Okay, in California. All right, I thought it was Disney World, not Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Yeah. Regardless, yeah. So they're like sketchy dealings with you know, however the theme park was handled, and in response to that, Disney blocked access, like early screenings to Thor Ragnarok, for the LA Times, so that they couldn't write a review of it. And that in itself isn't really that big of a deal. However, I do think it's kind of setting a precedent towards the control that Disney might be able to have, because they can seemingly just block access to this, you know, seemingly unrelated thing like Thor, a Marvel movie, Marvel property. You know, and Disneyland, you know, two fairly unrelated things, but your opinions on Disneyland could affect your access towards seeing Thor Ragnarok or writing a review on Thor Ragnarok ahead of time, which could affect your business as a news outlet because people want to get, you know, opinions out early. And let's just say like embargoes are already kind of a iffy thing.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking to use.
Yeah, embargoes are already kind of an iffy thing, so it's like, if they've got this big control over what people can say about the movie, then, you know, how are we supposed to get fair opinions on things, you know?
There's an interesting discussion to be had there, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, and not to like throw it all the way back and, you know, rewind to the beginning of the podcast, but it's very similar in the gaming industry, where there are review embargoes where, hey, you can't, you can only show this amount of video from this part of the game, and you can't put the video up until like the day before the game is released. And it's all about trying to minimize the power of the consumer so that you can't be informed when you make a monetary transaction decision.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And there
if
are
they have
also
control over
separate-
the press, then...
There are separate similar concerns, but perhaps using monopoly in the wrong term.
Yeah.
The wrong usage. But they're concerned about a creative monopoly in the sense that Disney has a certain, like, the MCU has a certain tone, which I disagree with in a sense. I think most MCU movies are... They're very varied nowadays, but there's still a connotation with Marvel where, like, they're all quippy joke fests, and they're nothing but that. They're incapable of anything else. And people say, you know, it's not true. There's a stigma. And that Fox movies and DC movies, they might not be perfect all the time, but they have that counterbalance to the MCU, and so they are different, they provide variety, and they're basically a counter view of what superhero movies can be. And now that DC is looking to copy Marvel a lot more, and now Fox is being taken away, they're removing a lot of the competition, basically. So people are fearing that comic book movies will be sterilized almost into the exact same template, which I think is an interesting discussion to be had with very little substance actually behind it.
Yeah, I think there's a fear there for sure, but I feel like currently it's difficult to say that that's the direction it would go, especially with Marvel being the big example, because I find that Marvel is the one film studio that's really giving creative freedom to its directors.
Yep.
I mean, just read an interview from the guy that made Thor Ragnarok, and that guy didn't give a crap about anything that the studio had to tell him. He just made the movie he wanted to make.
I didn't get fired because I'm a G. The best quote ever.
That's his direct quote. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, that's certainly a concern if Marvel was more controlling over the creative freedoms of the directors and the people, you know, in charge of making the thing. But since they have shown that they're very, very capable of allowing as much freedom as possible, I think the concern, while definitely there, is not really a problem at this stage in time.
Agreed. And I think probably the last thing I did want to briefly touch upon for the day was one more thing this week for comic book movies. Justice League's social media embargo has been let loose into the wild. Now, by this time next week, by the time this episode comes out, I think Justice League will be out. But we'll have a Rotten Tomatoes score and everything, so slightly irrelevant. But just for the sake of discussion, at the time of this episode's recording, on the 10th of November, the DC Cinematic subreddit has cataloged a big list of the impressions on Twitter. And one could say, oh, the DC Cinematic Reddit might not be unbiased, which is totally true. But I will be fair, and I'll say that they have it broken down into positive, mixed, and negative. By which that means if someone in their tweet basically says, this movie is mostly good or mostly fun, it's like mixed positive. And so far, it's got 29 positive tweets, 7 mixed, 1 negative. Which
That's not right.
It sounds pretty good on paper.
That's
when you
not
catalog
right.
it like that.
I've read some of these reactions, and I know that's not right.
When you actually look at the tweets, though, here's what people generally agree on. The actors are good. The characters are done well. Their banter is fun. And the movie does feel fun. Those are the things most people agree on. Most people also agree that the CGI apparently isn't great at times, and the narrative is basically trash. It's like complete garbage. It seems to be the consensus, even in the positive reviews. They're like, the story is bad, and the movie feels clunky, uneven, unrefined, sluggish,
Yikes.
awkward, but it's still fun, guys!
At least it's fun. Well, you know what? Suicide Squad was also pretty fun.
At
I can give it
times,
that.
yes, it was pretty fun. And you know, this was what I was hoping for, at the bare minimum, to be fair. If the actors are cool, I had zero hype for this movie in any way other than seeing the heroes on screen doing their thing. I knew the story was going to be bad. Anyone with half a brain knew it was, because there's no foundation for it. Now, what do you know? It's bad. Will there still be enough redeeming qualities to make it an enjoyable movie? I guess we'll see next episode.
We'll have to see.
But for now, just wanted to impart that. That's basically
Nice.
all, I think.
No, but Meso, you
got
gotta stop being such a Marvel fanboy. Marvel's awful. They're anti-consumer. You know, worst movies ever.
If you want to hear
Friend
me rant
codes.
for an hour about how Thor's magic belt was a bad storytelling choice, I will. I will do that. Don't tempt me. So, anybody else got anything to say? X, you got any thoughts on life?
Today, someone posted on Reddit, they said, today, Black Ops 1 is 7 years old. And I was like, huh, that's cool. So I went through the comments, and one guy said, the first truly balanced Call of Duty. And then I was like, huh, this guy is probably, there's something wrong with him. So I explained to him with statistics how all the weapons fired either 750, 937.5, or 1,250 RPM.
Oh my gosh.
And just I basically schooled him in terms of statistics. And then he replied to me saying, basically I was bad in a lot of stuff, and like how he had a 1.3 KD. And and so I took a stream. So this is what I'm going to do afterwards, is that I'm going to log on my PS3. And I'm going to select Black Ops 1, and I am going to go over and take screenshots of my statistics. Because if you didn't know, my statistics in Black Ops 1 is 14 win-loss, 4 KD, and my longest win streak is 753. And I am going to wait very patiently for what that guy is going to respond with. And that's it.
Hold the phone. Can we go back to the 700 plus win streak?
Yeah, it was really easy in Black Ops 1 because you could just dashboard and then it wouldn't count. But I only dashboarded 3 of them.
So you're, oh boy, well.
But still, that win-loss is completely legit. But yeah.
You are a special case, X. You give me faith in life.
Amazing, dude.
I like you. All right.
As long as we're mentioning Reddit, just to put this out there for people who don't know, BIONICLE threads have been showing up on the front page of Warframe's subreddit. I am loving it.
It's pretty cool. I like seeing
people are
BIONICLE
recreating the Toa and like Makuta and stuff in Warframe as the Warframes with colors and weapons and stuff, and they're consistently getting to the front page.
Well, that's fantastic. Maybe if it gets enough publicity, they'll decide to bring it back.
No.
No.
BIONICLE was anti-consumer.
Kevin said no.
All right. Well,
All right, wow.
that's basically all for this episode of the TTV Podcast. I think it was very fun. Lots of things were addressed.
Bring on your dislikes.
Nintendo hatred, buying
I will
views,
bathe in them
comic book movies,
and blow bubbles.
It's gonna be an interesting next week. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, if you'd like to support our content, please consider going over to our Patreon at patreon.com/the TTV channel. It's a very cool place to be. I would like to give a special shout out to one of our patrons by the name of Jitil or something. Very, very awesome Patreon supporter. Your support helps
What if it's
us
pronounced
continue to
Gittle?
do this. Then I would just have to sincerely apologize.
What about Jitil?
Let's just stop there.
Yeah, it wasn't
about-
J.
What about Jitil?
Jitil. Okay, I mean, if I have to have an E at the
What
end.
about Gitil?
But it's not a G. It's a J.
What about Jitil?
Thank you all for listening, everybody.
How about
we'll see
Little
y'all
J?
next week. Have a good one. I'm Meso.
Jitil.
I'm Meso. Say your name. Say it.
I'm Bar.
I don't even know how to follow
Say
that.
it.
I'm Takuma Nuva,
I am
the PC Master Race Elitist.
You're ex-trooper nice. Well, this was TTV. See y'all next week. Justice League's gonna suck.
Not as much as Nintendo, though.
Wow,
Hey, X,
savage.
1v1 me in Black Ops 1.
Sure, man, but
I'm gonna
no,
kick your
there's
butt.
actually no but. Yeah, let's do it. Do you have a PS3?
I don't actually have a PS3, so we can't.
Then there's not.
Hey, X, how about you get a PC already so I can actually play you in games? It's
Yes,
not even a
please.
PC Master Race thing. Just get a PC so I can actually play with you.
But the thing
Please.
is that I'm really good on console, but I'm not.
You
really
can just
good on
plug in
PC.
your controller on a PC.
and play against keyboard and mouse.
Oh, yeah, well.
It's fine in Destiny 2. It's actually pretty comparable, believe it or not. Anyway.
Okay, now we
Farewell,
said the
guys.
Destiny word. Now I
Bye, guys.
Bye.